Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Friday, August 18th. It is 1:15 Pacific Standard Time. Market just closed. This is your weekly take on the market. I'll be your host. My name is Scott St. Clair. I am the manager of the Premium Product Group here at Investors Business Daily. Please take a moment to read the disclaimer. Got a lot of stocks I want to talk about here. They aren't buy, sell, hold ideas. It's all for entertainment purposes only, but really for educational purposes only. So market thoughts, I'm going to skip the industry groups. They look exactly the same as last week. So if you're curious about industry groups, watch last week's. All of our take on the markets are archived to our Markets with YouTube channel. So if you want to find one of my bad ideas, you just go on the YouTube and go backwards. Somebody asked about, where they could find them. And also it's basically every Friday except the Friday after the Stay in Step webinar, which is the last Thursday of the month. So there's usually pretty much 3 of these a month, every Friday. So there's no like schedule unless I'm on vacation or something like that. But they're going to be every Friday except that last Thursday, I guess in essence, the last Friday of the month. And then we'll do some stocks. So market thoughts, money week, run with the bull right near the top, at least the short-term top, August 11th. How does this happen? Well, we could have a whole video on this, right? On why this happens, but it's let me make sure I word this right. It's sentiment follows price, not the other way around. So as the price goes higher, people become more and more bullish in the market, and the narrative becomes more and more bullish as the price goes higher, and vice versa. And in the old days, these magazine cover indicators used to work pretty good because it probably took you a while to write an article, right? And research it and do all of that. Nowadays, it's so much quicker, and there aren't as many magazines like this. This is a British financial magazine, but somebody posted on Twitter. I saw this somewhere. I can't remember if it's Twitter, but I thought just in time. And there's a guy on Twitter, Brent Donnelly. Maybe I got this from him. Who has he follows these little magazine cover indicators, and I assume it's a mock portfolio. I'm not sure he's using real money, but like if they show the cover of The Economist and it's the sun beating down on a wheat crop, and The Economist says prices going higher, he's going to short wheat. Or if there's inflation on the cover, buy bonds, et cetera, et cetera. So interesting to follow. I like to look at these. I think I don't know if you'd get rich trading this style, but what I want to know is where. I always want to know where is sentiment? Like it's like a big teeter-totter, like a seesaw. And I always want to know where sentiment is, like where are people positioned? And it doesn't, like, let's say it's a teeter-totter like this, and it doesn't mean it can't go away like that. But if it's like that, it's not a great risk reward like that. I want to find something over here that could be a great risk reward. And then it does this and vice versa. So that's why you probably want to keep sentiment is a good secondary indicator, like Bill would talk about. And it normally works better on the fear side. So imagine the market's going down, and Money Week comes out with a picture of a growling bear and says, why you should be protecting your portfolio. Then that would give me pause on the short side for sure, but also get me thinking, okay, everybody knows we're in a correction. So now that they know, it's probably built into the price almost always. Here is another chart of kind of that same thing. So as prices go up, they become, more and more bullish, and vice versa. So we're in that moment where, like, if you think about this year, it's been a crazy year. It's like the market, everybody thought we'd have the recession. And so what happens? Late last year, Everybody positions for the recession. Maybe it's not only Wall Street, but it's companies. CFOs start positioning for this recession they hear that's coming. They do a little less purchasing. They do a little less of this. They do a little less of that. And then all of a sudden, 4 or 5 months into the year, it's like, where's the recession? So then they ramp it back up. And so we haven't had this recession everybody's been predicting. That's why it's been a great year, although very narrow for sure, but it's been a really strong year for the indexes. I think NASDAQ's up 30, and I can't remember what the S&P is up, 15 maybe, something like that. And now we're probably a little bit extreme the other way, which is why, you've had some weakness in the market. All right, so let's pull up the market smith charts, and I do not want to mess this up. I got halfway through the video already and forgot and saw that I was paused. So this is round 2, resume share. You think after all these years of doing this, I wouldn't make that mistake. It's kind of like the stock market. You'd think after all these years, I wouldn't make the same dumb mistakes, and still do. So NASDAQ, you have kind of like a potential pink rally day, if you've ever heard that term, but it's basically a day where the market's down, but closes way off the lows. I wouldn't consider this way off the lows, but not too bad. And you had a lot of weakness early in some of the names, which is why I want to spend more time on like Meta and Nvidia and Microsoft, et cetera. So this is potential. This is potential for the market, fighting its way through this. So the S&P, I think it's, this isn't final. So I guess in another few minutes, or maybe this is, we're 22 minutes in, you're going to get, this looks like a pink rally day as well, barely down 65 cents on the S&P. And the S&P is a little stronger than the NASDAQ, which is not what we want. We'd prefer the NASDAQ to be stronger. But I think it was on IBD Live on this day that I said, batten down the hatches. I probably used that term on my video, and you had a character change in the market. You were making a lower low, and you had never done that previously. Like, here's a low and you can't make another low, and here's a low and you can't make another low, and here's a low and you can't make another low. Here's a low and you can't make another low. The last time we made another low was right here in the banking crisis. I'm using that term loosely, when those banks, a couple of the banks went bust. That's the last time. You see, so we've had just a string. I don't know, maybe you could say that one, but it only spent, looks like a day, maybe a day and a half below that. But you had a change in character. And the other thing we had, which I talked about, was the divergence, right? So this is July 19th, and this is July 31st, this blue day. So July 19th, July 31st, that's higher on the S&P. On the NASDAQ, July 19th, July 31st, lower. Now it's very subtle. It's not a, I'd rather look for a really big divergence, something like here, like let's say the NASDAQ makes a low, but the S&P doesn't. That'd be a really positive divergence after a long string of going down. Or here, NASDAQ makes a low here, but can't there, but the S&P makes a low, something like that. Those are really strong signals that you want to go the other way. But this worked, at least in short term. So you've had a spot of bother in the market, and we could go through all the reasons why. It doesn't really matter. If you know the reasons, it's probably built into the price. But China is kind of going through some troubles. They had a property stock go bankrupt, but that didn't surprise anybody. That stock was like $1 stock for a long time. And but you can look at China and see it's not making new lows. That's FXI or KWEB. So if things are so bad, how come it's not making new lows? I don't own Li Auto anymore, but this would be like if you're interested in China, and some people might not want to be. I haven't owned a Chinese stock in years, but I did buy Li Auto here and, sold it there. Why? It's just dumb luck. Stock it gapped up 2 points, and there was a lot of, there's some kind of, good automotive news or EV news, and I just didn't like the market. So I don't even think Tesla was up that day. So I'm tempted to buy this one off the 50-day. I almost bought it today, but I said I'm going to wait until Monday and see how it goes. So there's a lot of reasons why the market's going down. I don't know. I'm lukewarm on the market on both sides. I can make the argument to be bearish. I could make the argument to be bullish. So like Jesse Livermore would say, there's a time to be long, time to be short, time to be fishing. And I guess if I fished, this would be a good time. I have a hard time stepping away. I can't remember the last time I've never had at least a single position. Even when I went to Spain last summer, I had positions on, but I usually just play really, really light if things, if I'm just not certain of, doesn't mean I know where things are going, but if I don't have any conviction, then I'm just going to get chopped up. So I don't have a lot of conviction on both sides, short or long. I do have some shorts. I do have some longs, but I think when I last looked, like for example, my Roth IRA is 55% cash or something like that. And so I don't have a lot of exposure. Okay, I'm going to skip the industry groups. Like I said, is there anything else I want to talk about on the markets? I think that's it. So somebody mentioned Citigroup has been involved in every great crisis that we've had, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. They have. So I like the Mexican tequila crisis in 1990, I think it was. Oh yeah, I want to go to. Yeah, so 25 or 37, I should say, down to 16 in half. Mexico defaulted, I believe, is what happened, and Citigroup owned a ton of their bonds, and somehow survived. Maybe the government intervention, no surprise. Then the great financial crisis, of course. You've got Citigroup basically out of business if you don't get government intervention. I mean, stock went to $1, 97 cents. Wow, 97 cents. So out of business, government intervention. And fast forward to today, and the stock looks bad, looks toppy. I am short this one off of this, and you're pushing lows. 40 is the low down there. I mean, the COVID low is 37-ish, 30, 32. I guess that's 25% away, but this is a great canary in the coal mine. So I'm not saying run out and short it. I'm just saying I'm short it for full disclosure. I am talking my book, but for a lot of you, shorting is not something you do. But I'd probably watch this stock, because if there's some kind of problem out there that we're unaware of, Citigroup probably has their hands in there, and this stock will tell the story. If you know about the problem, it's probably built into the price, at least a lot of it, right? I had 2 stocks go bankrupt this year that I was short. Has that ever happened to me. And Signature Bank and First Republic, or gosh, I've already forgot. FRC, no, Silicon Valley. FRC didn't, I think they got bought out, but it might as well have gone bust. It didn't go to zero though, but it did very, very poorly if you were long it. But that was right here. That was somewhere right in here, right? So when you know that something's wrong, it's probably too late. And I remember thinking, gosh, if things are so bad, why isn't the NASDAQ, not necessarily making new lows, but like at least challenging those lows? Another great tell. This is why you study market history. I know in real time it's not that easy. I was there, I was living it. I wasn't loading up on NASDAQ stocks at the time, but you just get a little bit better here and there. And, there's a lot of bad news here, but yet the market's not telling you. And when the market's going down every day and you don't know the bad news, that's when you should be worried, because the bad news is probably coming. So this type of action worries me a little bit because I'm not certain I know the why for the market going down. Maybe it's China. It could be. The Hang Seng Index seems to be down 1% or more every night. It's having a tough time. So maybe that's the reason. But I'd love for there to be a headline in a magazine like Money Week. This is why the market is down 20% off the highs. Then it's built into the price, at least almost always. So Wednesday is the Nvidia numbers, so that will be key. How Nvidia goes will be so key. Whether it gaps up, gaps down, gaps up and gives it all away, gaps down and rallies all the way back. Oh, that'd be perfect. Or does nothing. Even if it did nothing, that might not be a bad thing either. So Wednesday will be kind of a key day. So if you're worried about something out there, some exogenous event, watch Citigroup. It might tell the tale. Let's go to Nvidia. So I tried Nvidia here and lost, and that day, and made, I don't know, 40 points or something. Now it's $400 stock, so 40 is still a lot, but it's not like 40, on something else. But I did get out because that's just what I do. I just said, if Scott, if you own this for 8 weeks and it was up 40 points, what would you do? I'd probably sell it, especially in the environment that we had. I'm not a big fan of the M at that point. A few days ago, the M looked weak to me. I short a number of stocks, I short the FANG index, and this is part of that. So it just didn't seem like it would hold. And so far today, I tried it, and it seems to be like the third time's a charm, because I bought Nvidia 3 times today. I bought it on the open, stopped myself out. I bought it again, stopped myself out, and then the third time I finally got it. So I do own Nvidia. I don't know what I'm going to do into earnings. I have no idea. I just don't know. So if you own Nvidia, you probably want to build some kind of plan into earnings for sure. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to hold it or lighten up or sit it out or sell calls against the positions. There's so many things going through my head on how to do this. The one problem I have with Nvidia is it's the leader for sure. So that's why I keep going back to it, because it's the leading stock. But it gapped up so much on earnings on May 25th, and then it gapped up in February on earnings right there. So you've had 2 gap ups, and it kind of gets expected that they're going to knock the cover off the ball. So they could have a great report and the stock could easily go down. That's my fear. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it is the leading stock. It's the only kind of one, honestly, the only one, but one of the at or near the 50-day or 10-week line. SMCI just looks like it might be game over for that. I just don't think this was strong enough to justify this type of move, and I didn't know that initially. That's kind of what I feel like. That's kind of what's going on. It's just I think the institutions were a little disappointed in that growth. They had built in much bigger numbers, and that's the same kind of thing that could happen with Nvidia. Meta, interesting day today for Meta. Almost closed unchanged, down $1. At one point, I think it might have gotten to unchanged, but undercutting this low, and look at the volume came in. So yeah, pretty good support days. Not a bad day for Meta. But here, if you have a rule for selling into strength, remember this, right? Remember when I drew that? Nobody wants to sell there. Nobody does. You're crazy, Scott. Why sell it? Well, this is why. It's 40 points lower. Well, what about taxes? Well, what about them? Would you rather have the 40 points in a tax bill or not have the 40 points and no tax bill? Or get yourself a non-taxable account. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can just tell you from my experience, the non-taxable accounts are amazing. The power of compounding without having to pay taxes, it really starts to show after you've done this for a number of years. I can tell you from experience. Microsoft, let's look at Microsoft. So if not now, when? That's what I tweeted about Microsoft. If you're not a seller into strength, if you have this tool in your tool shed selling into strength, if you're not selling that strength, then you really don't have that tool. And that's 50 points ago. I know it's $300 stock, but 50 points is a lot, even for a $300 stock. Let's look at Apple. So you finally got a little bit of strength here. I would not be a buyer of Apple. I just think it's the economy's a scale issue. And I can tell you, fast forward, if that were to happen 3 or 4 weeks from now, I will be short Apple again. What else do we want to look at? Oh, Netflix. So this looks very much like Feng Yu. This looks like a head and shoulders top to me. Here's your neckline, which it broke through yesterday. This is tricky. So I really think ideally that's the way it plays out. It seems the first time is usually not the charm for breaking through these necklines, but we'll see. That looks doesn't look all that good. I do not have a position in Netflix at all. I was short Feng Yu. This is the triple up. Remember I talked about how, I don't even have to be right. I just have to not be wrong to make money shorting this. And this has worked really, really well. I covered today. I really am hoping for something like this, but here's kind of the Netflix. There's the neckline. So some type of throwback. I'm not saying it has to get to 200. If it got to 180 or something, I probably would try again and then stop myself out, try again at 190, stop myself out, try again at 200. And if it got above 200, then I would stop myself out and be done with it. But this is one of my go-to shorts. Okay, then as far as names on the long side, this group is starting to perk up again. Why this group? Well, this quarterly earnings and sales. Now, I know they can be cyclical, but look at these numbers. They're just ridiculously high. And so that's why I'm attracted to this group. And so as long as the stocks are holding up, I will go to these and have a position in them. And they do pay a dividend. A lot of them pay a really good dividend. I don't buy them for the dividend, but it's a nice bonus if the stock just does nothing. So EURN, I do own TNK. I do own. This looks like this is to me a cup with handle. That would be a pivot. Again, why these names? Well, look at these numbers. Look at the margin, 55%. So there's lots of stocks in these group, and they're kind of all it's pretty much all the same. You buy one, you buy all of them, probably. I don't know how to, just differentiate why one might be better than the other, but I usually use like price action, relative strength, quarterly earnings. So like I don't own TRMD. It's not as strong as EURN. I'd rather own that one. And there's others in the Frontier, I think. Yeah, this looks very good too. Look at the quarterly earnings. So Tidewater, just a little tired. I think it's fine, just a little tired. VAL, you got a giant cup with handle. Now I did mention on IB Live, I don't love giant cups with handles. I prefer shorter, smaller, quicker cups with handles because my instinct is, well, why is it allowing me all this time to buy it? But if it breaks out, I will buy it. I don't own it anymore. I just kind of got tired of owning it, waiting for something to happen. And then as the market started to bother me more and more, I just start, if I have 10 stocks, I start at the bottom. If batten down the hatches means I want to own my best merchandise right at the top. So I just start taking stuff off the bottom, and this one got cut because it wasn't making a lot of progress. It wasn't hurting me, but I just want to be, I want to be light on my toes and easy to move around when I don't like the market. So that's why. And you can see the little trend line that I have drawn here. There's that group. Did I mention Li Auto? I think I might have, but so if the market gets better, I'm gonna try this name. Again, why? Well, look at the earnings and sales. Look at those numbers, just incredible. It is China. So, it wouldn't bother me, or it wouldn't, if you don't want to say, Scott, never buy Chinese stocks, that's fine. There's plenty of stocks to look for. I haven't owned a Chinese stock in a long, long time, minus the 3-day rental on Li Auto a few days ago. So I get it, but there's a lot of bad news in China. And if I know about it, everybody knows about it. And so there's potential maybe that if they find their way out of it, it could be a big mover. So I don't know if you've seen their cars, but I've watched a few videos. Their cars are amazing on YouTube. But I don't know what that means as far as price, as far as demand over there. But if these numbers are real, that's all I need to see is that type of stuff. The drug guys, Lilly and NVO. Lilly is just a beast. And so, unfortunately, I own NVO. Now, NVO is not doing anything wrong, but gosh, it seems like Lilly is the better one. If you own both, I'd probably just own both. If you own Lilly, I just keep owning Lilly. If you own NVO like me, I'd hate to make the switch like this. I've done this before in my life where it's like, okay, this is the leader, buy this one, sell NVO, and guess what? NVO plays catch up and Lilly does nothing. So I don't know. I won't do that. If I'm wrong on NVO, I'm just going to be wrong. There's no place to buy Lilly. I messed that up. I should have bought that. I think I was considering it somewhere there off the 50-day. What else is left? Oh, VRT, another pet stock of mine because it's been so good to me. You can see it hit I had a little trend line alert go off today. So I bought VRT. So it went through the trend line yesterday and then I redrew it and it triggered it today. So I bought that. I'm not up very much, if at all, just a tiny bit, but I really like this stock, and the earnings and sales are the key, and the price action, very powerful. It's holding every week it goes by that holds this gain. I think that's a sign that it's going to go higher. Now, there is a little bit of overhead supply. They have 20 million shares priced at 34.87, I think, on a secondary. So I'd really like to see a number of sideways weeks and then blast through that 34.87. And then you have every shareholder out there is basically in the green, in the money, and maybe you have room to go. So interesting name. I think I did. So, last but not least, we got to talk about Tesla, right? So just day after day, relentless going down. I did cover a lot of it today. I couldn't bring myself to cover all of it, even though if it wasn't Tesla, let me give you a thought process. If this was XYZ, I would have covered it all because I think there's some kind of rally. But I just couldn't bring myself to cover it all. So I'm lightly short it. And if there's a rally, it'll be good. It'll give me a chance to get my full position back. I'm guessing, something like 240. That would be ideal. And then if I'm wrong, it gets to 250, then I'd probably be wrong and move on. But lower, I think the stock is going lower. All right. I think that's enough on the stocks. Let me pause the share. Let's go to the quote of the week. Sharing is working. Done. Kendrick Lamar. I have to admit, I don't know much about Kendrick Lamar. I know he's a music artist. If you played 10 of his songs, I might be able to guess 3 or 4 of them, but I can't recall what book I read it in. A lot of times I'll be reading a book and I'll see a great quote and I'll take a picture of it and email it to myself. And I just keep like a folder of all these great quotes. And I stumbled upon this one and I couldn't. Normally I like to see the book. A lot of times I remember the book, but I don't remember which book this was from. I know a lot of you ask about the books, but I apologize. I don't remember which book this was from. But I love this quote. Execution is my favorite word. I spend 80% of my time thinking about how I'm going to execute. It's so important execution in the market. A lot of people spend so much energy on, is this a cup with handle, or is the volume tracking higher than yesterday? Just to me, not trivial is not the right word, but not as important as executing. You have an idea, execute it. If you decide, like for me, if I decide on Sunday I want to buy XYZ, I just buy XYZ. I don't care what the market's doing on Monday or Tuesday or Thursday. I tell myself on Sunday night, I saw XYZ, I wanted to buy it, I buy. I execute that idea. There's another great quote that I have pinned on my board here, and it says, courage, patience, imagination/vision, execution. These are my 4 words that I think about when I'm making trading, when I'm investing. I want to have the courage to take my idea. I did all of this work, take the idea, put the trade on. If I'm wrong, I'll stop myself out. But you have to have courage to put the trade on, and you have to have courage to put it on with size, the correct size, not too much, not too little, right? But so courage, patience. So then once you're in it, you want to give it room to breathe. I'm not very good at that, but I'm trying to remind myself, be patient, allow the stock to work if it's working in your favor. Imagination/vision, have the imagination that the stock, if you're long it, could go up so many points. Or if you're short it, it could go down so many points, but really more on the other side. If you're short, the most you could ever make is 100%. And how often are you going to do that? I've done 6 trillion trades in my life. I've had 3 zeros or 4 zeros. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth it. I just stumbled upon them. I'm never looking for that. But I need to have more imagination and vision for the other way, because they're out there. Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Google. You can go on and on. Visa, MasterCard. The only IPO I've ever gotten in my life was Visa. I think I got 100 shares from Fidelity. I could never get IPOs before because I was licensed. I wasn't allowed. But when I finally wasn't licensed, they gave me 100 shares. And I think I was priced at 40 and I sold it at 80, or was priced at 20 and I sold it at 40. I can't remember, but I just remember I couldn't get out of it fast enough. I was like, oh, this is a free $2,000, 100 shares up 20 points. Well, where's Visa now? It was a free 20 grand or 50 grand if I had just done nothing with it. So have the imagination, the vision to see big things. I know some people out there like Charles, and he made a ton in Tesla. And when I hear him talk about Tesla, it's like his imagination on where it could go is amazing. But you also have to have a plan if you're wrong. So that's the other side of the coin for sure. And then last but not least, execution. Execute your plan. I'm going to buy Nvidia and I'm going to stop myself out here. I'm going to buy it. Oh, it moves up 40 points. I'm going to sell it. Well, Scott, it moved up 40 points in 2 sessions. My plan was, if I get a bounce in the stock, I'm going to sell it. So I'm just going to follow that plan, right or wrong. I'm going to execute that plan. So, work on execution. I think you'll find your results will materially improve. Okay, everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you. MarketSmith@investors.com, 800-424-9033. I will be back next week, I think. Yeah. See you later. Bye-bye.